name is Eddy Francisco Alvarez Jr. I grew up in North Hollywood, California. My father is Cuban, my mother is Mexican. I'm a professor. I teach LGBTQ studies, Jotería studies, and courses on gender and sexuality. But I always knew that I was different because I had, this loud Cuban dad who was also schizophrenic. So that mental health component added that layer. And so I always knew that I was different because of that, because of the Cubanness, because of my dad's mental health. And I'm actually working on a children's story or book in the future, maybe about this, about how in many ways my dad and I were both queer, he because of his mental health, so there were some intersections in our differences, right? That also intersected with our Cubanness. So I think just growing up in like a strange family, like a dysfunctional family, but with lots of love. Like, I think our parents gave us, even within like them trying to survive and navigate, like we were given so much love and affection. But it wasn't until I was 20 that I really came out to myself. And that was the most important thing, to be able to say it to myself. Before being able to say it to anybody, my sister already knew, ever since we were kids, I think, it's like everybody knew around me before me, but that's fine. Everybody has a process. Love yourself. Love yourself in your 17-year-old self, because you're beautiful, because, who I am now and the love I have for myself as a 41-year-old gay Latino is not obviously, how I felt about myself. I had, my acne, issues with my acne, so many layers, right? As a teenager going through trying to find themselves. And I think telling my 17-year-old self that I was worth it no matter what, right? That I needed to love myself. I think if I would have had more gay Latino role models, things might have been different, right? I may have not made the same kind of mistakes I made in terms of like the kind of behaviors I engaged in, or things like that. I don't know, I wonder. But the people that I saw that were gay were white gay men who looked very different from me and had different experiences and had bodies different than mine. And so part of the reason that I got into the work that I do of like being part of AHAS and the Association for Jotería Arts, Activism and Scholarship, and the research that I do was to create more spaces for people to be themselves, to have these conversations, to be role model, because I was like, I didn't see those spaces, coming of age. And so besides like the partying spaces, and I think those are important, as I just talked about in my research, the spaces of leisure are important, but then also having people that you look up to outside of that is important too. Absolutely. I'm writing a book called Finding Sequins in the Rubble, and it's a mapping of queer Latinx Latino Los Angeles, and where I trace different spaces and memories that shaped queer Latinos in the city. And I theorize this concept of finding sequence in the rubble and how folks find joy in the midst of trauma and oppression. So.